This video is about us. We'll answer the question, who is EMS Safety? We'll talk about our size and reach and our philosophy on training. After the video, go ahead and complete your required knowledge checks. EMS Safety was started over 25 years ago, out of the desire to provide CPR and first aid trainers and emergency training agency that truly values its instructors. In that time, we've grown from a local business into an organization that provides instructor training and support internationally. Our clients range from Fortune 100 companies to small businesses like the local gym or childcare center. There are EMS safety instructors in schools, universities, and government agencies, as well as healthcare, fire, and law enforcement. Many instructors teach for profit to business or the community. At EMS Safety, we believe in exceptional customer service, integrity, and value. Many instructors join our training organization through the word of mouth from the personal recommendations of other current instructors. EMS Safety's training materials really are unlike those of any other CPR or first aid training program. Our goal is to produce the most effective training with the highest retention of skills and information. Listen, research has shown that the average attention span is now just 8 seconds, which is 1 second shorter than the attention span of this goldfish. Our programs use 5 techniques for effective training and retention. The first thing we want to do is get their attention. Then we want to show them why this matters. We want to keep it simple. Focus on the critical elements of CPR and first aid. Provide information that's just in time. That means information is in context and it's more readily understood and remembered. Then lastly, we want to use real-life scenarios. We tailor the information for specific audiences to make it more meaningful and more useful. We offer CPR, AED, and first aid for community and workplace responders, childcare providers, and personal caregivers. Our BLS course provides the right level of CPR and AED for healthcare providers who work at the bedside or in the field. We also offer 2 ancillary programs, Emergency Oxygen Administration and Bloodborne Pathogens. Both programs are OSHA compliant. They may be included with CPR or first aid or taught as standalone modules.
In this brief presentation, we'll discuss the purpose and method of EMS Safety's training. We'll cover our guidelines and resources and your course participants so that you can ensure this is the right course for your audience. Remember that this information is covered in every EMS Safety Instructor Manual. It's in Section 1 under Course Administration. The purpose and methods of training. CPR is usually performed outside the hospital by a bystander, and first aid is the initial care given at an emergency scene. The purpose of training is to give the knowledge and skills required to respond confidently and effectively. It's the instructor's job to identify and overcome barriers to action. Instructors use several methods to train responders, including video, workbooks, lecture and demonstration, and testing. CPR guidelines come from the International Liaison Committee on Resuscitation. Since that is such a mouthful, let's just call them ILCOR. First aid treatment recommendations are from the First Aid Task Force, which is also part of ILCOR. There's really not a cool abbreviation for the First Aid Task Force. There are many organizations that comprise ILCOR. Together, they make guideline recommendations based on the latest and greatest science. EMS Safety is not part of the American Heart Association or the American Red Cross. We do get our guidelines and recommendations from the same place they do, ILCOR. CPR. Your course participants are what the training is all about. We want you to know how to meet the needs of your students and how EMS Safety's programs are approved for certain audiences. When it comes to prerequisites and minimum ages for CPR or first aid training, there are none. When your students have met the course completion requirements, then they've earned their course completion cards. So we can cross that off the list and focus on meeting their needs. EMS Safety's programs have been reviewed, approved, or meet the guidelines of numerous regulatory bodies, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Commission on Accreditation for Pre-Hospital Education, Federal OSHA, the California Emergency Medical Services Authority, and hundreds more. For a complete list of program approvals or to request an approval, visit our approvals page at www.emssafety.com/approvals. Students have different needs. Some are taking your class for enrichment and others need to meet workplace or licensure requirements, so their jobs may depend on the card that you issue. In other words, the CPR AED for Community Rescuers course that is perfect for an industrial workplace trainee is not the same course for a healthcare provider. The CPR AED for Professional Rescuers course isn't the right course for a childcare provider. Talk with your students before the class. Identify why they're signing up and make sure it's the right course. Some students may even be eligible for continuing education. Remember, we're here to help. Contact us if you need help deciding which course is the right one for your audience.
The instructor trainer is an important position. How well the IT trains the instructor will directly impact how the instructor trains the rescuer. At the end of the day, the IT will ultimately impact what a rescuer does or doesn't do. In other words, your students may rely on our training in the most critical moment of their life, when a loved one or friend's life is in the balance. The IT can have a large impact. The average instructor trains 60 students per year. When an IT certifies 20 instructors, he or she reaches 1,200 students. As you can see, the IT role is a huge responsibility. It isn't taken lightly. It's the reason our programs are so well structured. Structure is required for consistency. EMS Safety strives for consistency from course to course. Everyone in our course receives the same level of training no matter where the course is held or who taught it. Part of consistency is accuracy. EMS Safety ITs and instructors are taught to adhere to the script. We don't support an IT or an instructor giving their personal opinion on a technique or treatment, especially when it deviates from the guidelines or a local or workplace protocol. The best way to maintain consistency is to become familiar with your training resources. Use the instructor manuals, student workbooks, and portal to provide a consistent experience for each student. CPR AED and first aid treatment protocols are updated every 5 years. After ILCOR releases updated guidelines, we update the training programs and release new instructor manuals, DVDs, and student workbooks. Periodic updates are released as needed. Typically, periodic updates are announced via email and are downloadable from EMS Safety's instructor portal. Be sure to keep your email address and contact information up to date to ensure you do receive these critical updates. So as you can see, the instructor trainer is an incredibly important role. The quality of his or her training will affect the rescuer actions. Be sure to be consistent so everyone gets the same level of training. And remember that EMS Safety uses the same guidelines as the American Heart Association and the American Red Cross. Those guidelines do get updated from time to time, so stay connected with EMS Safety by keeping your contact information up to date. Thanks for watching, you guys. Now complete your knowledge check, and when you're ready, watch the next video, The Role of the Instructor Trainer.